Everyone knows a home is more than just a house.
It was everything to him. He called it his oasis.
It can be the stage for a fresh start.
He wanted to be a good person, so he was trying everything he could to make that happen.
But if a stranger slithers into your Garden of Eden,
He was just trying to help her out when
You got a gun.
she didn't have a lot of alternatives.
you may discover that serpents follow.
He loved younger girls. He just wanted to be young again.
She got caught up in the love triangle.
Give me my phone! Where is it?
So much happened so fast.
Oh, stop, please, get off!
There's some major, major problems there.
Sometimes, death comes knocking on your door.
I'm at my dad's house and he's gone and everything's different and everyone's lying.
Calm down. Is someone injured?
No, I mean, I don't know.
Brian Geddes' home in Garden City, Idaho, is his private paradise.
It was just a very beautiful little place down there on the river.
The furniture inside was very nice. There were paintings and things on the walls, and that it looked like somebody that wanted it to look nice.
That's not unusual in this community, known for its immaculate houses and lush gardens.
Garden City is right outside of the capital of Idaho, Boise. It is a safe city.
Garden City is composed of some high-end residential homes along the river.
It's a good place to live.
And it's here that Brian Geddes makes a home where he can relax, play with his grandchildren, and spend quality time with his daughter, Megan.
She was the only daughter he had, and it was a very good relationship.
We would talk all the time. I mean, we would see each other too, a couple days a week at least, and on the phone and text messages, mainly on the phone though. I called him on his birthday, which was October 17th.
He was celebrating his 50th.
Hi, you've reached Brian's voicemail. Sorry I can't take your call right now. Please leave a message.
Happy birthday, Dad. Listen, I'm taking you for dinner tonight, so give me a call back and just tell me when and where. All right, bye.
No answer, didn't think anything of it. And so I just kind of let it go. You know, it was just, well, whatever, he'll call me back.
But as the hours pass with no word from Brian, Megan grows anxious.
And then it was the next day, you know, I tried calling him again, nothing, you know, and that happened for a couple days.
Her concern isn't unfounded. Brian has a history of living on the edge.
Anything that had to do with boat or jet skis or motorcycles with an engine he loved.
But for Brian, his greatest risk was opening up his own business, dealing used cars.
He was actually working for someone else, and things didn't work out, and thought, I can do this and on my own, and he did, and it just blew up.
I remember him telling me, I will never work for somebody else. He started out on a $600 unemployment check, started just buying and selling cars.
He was good at what he did, and he bought and sold and traded and worked his way into business.
Small car dealers don't really do very well for that long. It's usually just a couple years, but he just skyrocketed.
Soon, his used car lot is a multi-million-dollar company. But as Brian's business flourishes, his marriage falls to pieces.
Yes, hi.
When him and my mom were together, he was working all the time.
Things got destructive, and maybe they didn't mean to do it to each other, but it happened.
I am doing everything I can to get home ASAP. Stop harassing me.
After a flurry of blowouts, his wife has had enough. She soon files for divorce, and Brian moves out.
He stayed in the motorhome on the side of the car lot.
He just couldn't let go. It was really, really hard for him.
You girls like to go fast?
Middle-aged and lonely, Brian throws himself into the life of a much younger man,
Fast cars, I got fast.
complete with heavy partying and lots of women.
He was single, so he was going on multiple dates.
He loved younger girls. He just wanted to be young again, and so he was trying to hang out with younger people.
My Betty's here. I'll be right back.
Brian develops new problems to compound the old.
He was getting drunk and acting crazy, and it got him in trouble.
He had done drugs. I'd known that.
A year and a half after the divorce, Brian is crashing in the fast lane.
Things went to hell.
Making matters worse, Brian's work literally goes up in flames.
There was a fire and the business went under due to that.
He was very heartbroken.
When his son Mitch is arrested soon after,
Seriously, Dad?
he hits rock bottom.
My brother had stolen a check to write my mom a check, and so my dad had pressed charges. It was like this big ordeal that ended up getting them a no contact order.
Having lost both his business and his family, Brian realizes it's time for a change.
He'd look for advice on what to do, and I told him you could change yourself and find yourself again and get your life back. And he was really trying to do that.
He actually had started investing in properties and started renting them out.
For 6 months, Brian seems to be back on solid ground. That's why it's so surprising to his daughter that he doesn't respond for days after his 50th birthday.
I got a text message back from his phone saying that he was in Jackpot, Nevada. It was just, why would you be in Jackpot? Why would you be gambling? You don't do that. You never do that. My husband was just like, he's just turned 50, you know, like maybe he really did. Maybe he went out and, you know, splurged.
As the days continue to pass without a phone call, Megan's worry turns to suspicion.
Hi, you've reached Brian's voicemail.
Again.
Sorry I can't take your call right now. Please leave a message.
Dad, call me. We need to talk. Bye.
Would call me punky and things like that. And through the text messages, I was getting honey and sweetheart and things. Okay, maybe he's really having fun. Maybe he took some lady up there, you know, but I don't know why he won't answer my calls or call me back.
Finally, Megan gets a call, but not the one she's expecting.
My brother called me on November 2nd telling me that there are some teenagers in our dad's house. I met my brother down the street first, and then we drove down together.
As soon as they set foot inside, Megan and Mitch know something's wrong.
I freaked out at that moment.
What happened to our photo?
No idea.
I thought maybe he's doing drugs and he's hiding it from me. Maybe he just got involved with the wrong people.
What's going on with Dad? I can't go through this with him again, Mitch. I can't.
But the truth is darker than Megan can even imagine.
She said Brian did drugs and that he had a drug dealer.
If you keep chasing the young, you'll never get there.
Brian Geddes' decision to gamble away his 50th birthday is a shock to his daughter. After a year and a half of living in freefall, he had recently vowed to turn over a new leaf. It starts with the purchase of a new home. The minute Brian steps into his bungalow on the Boise riverbank, it's love at first sight.
He called it his oasis, so he loved that house, and that house was everything.
This home for Brian was a new beginning after everything he went through. This was a great thing for him to get started.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, you?
Good. I didn't know you were gonna be here.
Ah, I thought I'd come and help out.
The house was the first thing since the divorce that was just his and that he had done for himself. When I first walked in, I mean, everything he had was gorgeous. He was a clean freak, very meticulous about how everything was just perfect and always smelled good, always looked really good, so I was pretty surprised.
Everything had to be perfect and polished. Every car was waxed, and the boat was always waxed and polished, and the house was immaculate, and the garden and everything was in perfect order. all the time.
It's also a chance to mend fences.
He was asking family to come over.
I want you to know how sorry I am. I haven't spent as much time with you as I should over the past couple of years, Punky.
That's all right. I know you've been having a tough time.
Yeah, well, I just want you to know I've been dealing with my issues. How's that?
He wanted to be a good person, so he was trying everything he could to make that happen.
I've taken up hiking.
Really?
Yep. Your old man's got some life in him yet.
Well, that's great, Dad. I'm really proud of you.
He really liked anything that had to do with outdoors.
It's on one of those hikes that Brian comes across a beautiful 21-year-old. Jordan Shaver.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Are you okay?
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize anybody could see me.
Brian and Jordan met on what's known as the Boise Greenbelt. It's a 20-mile trail that extends along the Boise River.
I'm okay. I'm just lonely, I guess. That sounds so stupid.
No, to me it doesn't. I'm Brian, by the way.
Jordan.
Nice to meet you, Jordan.
Brian told her that he knew how it felt to be lonely.
He saw that she was distressed and gave her his phone number and told her to call him if she needed.
I actually don't live that far from here, and you can come over anytime you like, if you want.
You're so lovely. Thank you.
Oh.
Thanks.
Okay. See you later.
Bye.
Brian doesn't give Jordan another thought until the following week.
Oh my God, Jordan? What happened?
I didn't know where else to go.
Jordan got into a domestic altercation with her boyfriend.
It's okay, it's okay.
Brian was there trying to comfort her and just giving her some support.
Let's go inside out here.
No, it's okay. I don't want to be any trouble.
It's no trouble. Here, let's get you inside. End of story, all right?
Brian called the police to his residence to help Jordan.
He was a good person.
To keep her safe, Brian invites Jordan to spend the night.
So where are you headed?
Home, I guess.
You can't stay there.
I mean, I sort of have nowhere else to go, other than my mom's house, which is worse.
Well, I'm not letting you go back there to get hit again.
It was a father trying to help, a younger child, like a daughter.
I've sort of been hit and hurt for as long as I can remember.
She had a pretty rough childhood, and she was trying to overcome some of that.
She'd been sexually abused as a child as well.
Jordan, I'm so sorry that this has happened to you.
Whatever.
Stay here with me.
What?
Yeah, you'll be safe, and I'll help you get back on track.
Oh, no. That's way too much. I can stay with friends, but maybe if I could just leave some of my stuff here, just while I get sorted out.
Whatever.
You're my hero.
He was just trying to help her out when basically she didn't have a lot of alternatives.
It's a perfect pairing. Jordan has the safety she longs for, and Brian has the companionship he craves.
I think he was lonely and wanted somebody to talk to. Nobody needed him anymore, like his children were grown, didn't need him to take care of them. He didn't have a wife anymore. It was kind of something to do, somebody to help, but at the same time, I think he was lonely and wanted somebody to talk to, and I think any, late 40s, old man sees a pretty girl, he's going to want to talk to her.
He took pride in pulling her under his wings and giving her advice.
What?
Brian and Jordan fall into a comfortable routine.
Diamond. Okay, pick up 4 cards.
But it's sometimes disrupted.
Oh, I gotta go. I'll be back Monday, probably.
All right.
She was living there, and then she would couch surf place to place with friends.
Desperate to keep up with his youthful companion, Brian falls back into his old ways, and Jordan soon discovers what they are.
She said Brian did drugs and that he had a drug dealer.
Brian's thirst for youth comes at a cost.
Was trying really hard to wash it with God, and on the other side, he was playing with the devil.
And the pair soon learns that the devil's best trick is making you believe he's not real.
There's some major, major problems there.
She got caught up in, I believe, a love triangle.
I hollered at him, said, "What are you doing?"
I didn't know where else to go.
After fleeing an abusive relationship, Jordan Shaver has turned to Brian Geddes for help. But she soon realizes he's got demons of his own. Good thing Jordan loves the high life just as much as he does.
Hey.
Hey.
You found it.
I did.
It's not long before they have even more in common.
Whoa. Try that.
Strong.
A little bit.
Her relationship with Brian was just a friendship in the beginning. Did get to the point where it would just be kissing, holding hands, and type of flirting behavior amongst Brian and her.
Young, good-looking girl. And I guess he thinks he was gonna get some.
But that's not what Jordan thinks, even as she settles in more deeply.
I just got the most amazing house down by the river, and it has a pool and a hot tub.
Jordan wanted her friends to perceive her as a well-to-do person, doing well in life, living in a nice area.
Yeah, I own it. You guys can come over all the time.
It's just that youthful thing that you want to build yourself up, much like people build themselves up on resumes.
I have a lot of family over right now and renovations, but I want to invite you guys over as soon as I can.
Jordan wouldn't let people know about Brian. The reason she did that was obviously so she wasn't judged that she was staying with an older gentleman.
Jordan may not talk about Brian, but she certainly talks to him about almost everything.
Whoa. You got a gun.
Yeah. I've been getting all these weird calls. Like what if it's my ex-boyfriend, What if he found me again?
If it makes you feel better, then I think you should have it.
I think Brian was a safe place for her and was a place for her to vent her frustrations and her fears.
I love how much you support me.
Well, I just want you to know that I'm never going to let anyone hurt you again.
Brian was an outgoing person that very easy to get along with, liked to listen, liked to help people.
He also likes Jordan, but her heart is not 100% with him. It's stuck in the past with a boy named Burke Grange.
They were in school together, and she had a crush on him, and he didn't seem to reciprocate.
She really wanted to impress him, because he came from something more wealthy and she came from nothing. Jordan thought that she wasn't good enough, because of her background.
But living with Brian could help change that.
She felt that by having Brian's money, his cars, his motorcycle, his home, that somehow that would elevate her status and make her appear that she was worthy for his love.
Jordan's self-esteem was very, very, very low. And I believe Jordan wanted people to like her for what she had, more than for what she was.
Jordan has big plans. One she hopes Burke will be a part of. They text each other all the time. As Jordan's attachment to Burke grows, she works hard to keep both him and Brian in the dark.
Cheers.
Jordan would tell Burke about a residence she was living at. Burke was an outgoing type of individual. He wanted to hang out there. She really restricted him from coming to the residence, but would talk about it, how nice it was.
I'm gonna get another beer. Do you want one?
Yes.
She got caught up in, I believe, a love triangle.
Is Brian around? I have a problem with my water.
As Brian's 50th birthday approaches, Jordan becomes a permanent fixture in the house. She helps with his tenants while he's away.
No, I'm sorry. He just left town to celebrate his birthday. But he left me the number for his repair guys. I can call someone for you if you want.
She introduced herself and told her that she was house sitting for Brian.
I don't think we've actually met. I'm Jordan, by the way.
Are you his daughter?
No, I'm just taking care of his properties while he's away.
With Brian out of the house, Jordan gets to work redecorating. She starts by getting rid of Brian's old bedding.
Jordan talks about putting them in trash bags.
Then the shopping begins.
She buys bathroom mats, the toilet mat, the toilet cover.
The final touches, new pillows and candles. With all traces of Brian tucked away, Jordan's finally ready to invite Burke over to her home. But Burke is less interested in the decor than the possibilities. Within a couple of days, he's made himself the man of the house.
She praised him as being the love of her life, the person she wanted to be with.
A few days later, Burke and Jordan host a Halloween bash for their closest friends.
They drank, handed out candy that night, and smoked marijuana.
The party rolls on, and 2 days later, friends are still hanging out by the pool.
She was using the home as kind of party central, as a location for her and her friends to have parties at.
There's unlimited beer. There was unlimited partying. There's a jacuzzi, unlimited food, unlimited marijuana.
But not everyone's in the party spirit.
Megan was concerned because she kept texting her father, kept calling her dad, hasn't heard from him in 2 to 3 weeks, which is unheard of.
I just kind of kept blowing it off for a while until November 2nd, when finally I was just like, something is up. Because my brother ended up calling me saying that there was people in the house. And that's when I was like, something's going on.
Megan and her brother Mitch go straight to their dad's house.
I just like barged through that door and saw Jordan.
You, where's my dad?
Who are you? Who's your dad?
Brian Geddes?
She, like, completely changed. And that's when we were just like, what the heck? Where is he? And she could not tell us anything. She was so scared at that moment. I noticed, too, that she had his phone, and that's where we kind of started arguing.
Why do you have my dad's phone?
It's mine.
Like hell it is.
Hey! Hey, give me my phone!
So much happened so fast.
What the hell is going on in here? What is all this?
I started just ripping off the blankets and everything off the bed, asking,
Where's my dad's stuff? Give me my phone! Where is it? Leave her alone! Hey! Get back here!
a lot of yelling and fighting and screaming.
Where's my dad?
Oh, stop! Please, get off!
Where's my dad?
Calm down! I am house sitting for Brian while he's away in Jackpot. I swear!
Jordan is out of options.
You got 10 seconds, get him on the phone!
I can't! I don't know the number!
Pretty much told her, if you can't get my dad on the phone right now, I'm gonna call the cops.
Then I'm calling the police. Mitch, give me my cell! Hey!
Jordan ended up bolting and basically ran off.
I'm at my dad's house and he's gone and everything's different and everyone's lying.
With Jordan gone, Megan's left bruised, frantic, and full of questions.
Why does my dad's house look like this? Where's my dad at? where is he?
And the answers are far stranger than she could ever imagine.
And I remember being like,
Who is this?
oh my gosh, my dad's calling me.
It just wasn't adding up at that time.
I was very confused. I was lost.
After finding her father's home in shambles and her dad missing, a fight between Megan Goh and Jordan Shaver at his home leaves her panicked.
I'm at my dad's house and he's gone and everything's different. And
Desperate and bewildered, Megan calls 911.
I don't know.
We received a call from Brian's daughter. She was just kind of concerned, just trying to find her father.
Megan's brother Mitch shares that concern, but knows he has to get off the property for his own protection.
They're on their way.
Keep me posted.
As soon as I had to call the police, though, my brother left. At the time, I think him and my dad had a no contact order, I believe. So he was also scared to even be there.
When police arrive, Megan insists they search the house for Brian.
We got here and this girl was in the backyard having a party like she owned the place.
She wanted a welfare check on him in his home. Welfare checks are pretty common. A lot of time people can't reach a family member, so they ask us to go by the house. So this is a pretty routine call.
There's the usual party aftermath, but nothing noteworthy.
We found some marijuana.
Even with no evidence of foul play, police take Megan's story seriously.
Things weren't adding up, and we just didn't know what was going on yet, but we thought that there was something wrong.
As a welfare check only allows them to do a walkthrough, they request a warrant to fully search the house. As Megan waits for news, she receives a surprising phone call.
And I remember being like, oh my gosh, my dad's calling me.
Who is this?
And I said, well, this is your dad. You need to tell those people to leave and tell the cops to leave. Jordan's fine. She can be here, but they need to leave because I have drugs in the house. It was some young guy. It was not my dad.
Okay, Dad. First off, when's your birthday?
And he said, like 9/16/62. And I was like, you're a month and a day off there, And then I said, well, when's mine?
When's mine?
And then that's when they hung up because they couldn't answer it.
The police order a trace on Brian's cell, last seen in Jordan's hands.
We decided to ping Brian's cell phone. And what that does is try to get a location of that cell phone.
Investigators traced the phone and Jordan to a local parking lot.
They ended up finding her like less than 2 miles away in a Walmart parking lot.
Hey, look, I don't have anything to do with this, all right? I just offered to help her out.
She's with the man who just called Megan.
I need to talk to Detective Madden.
Right before police came to the Bryant residence, Jordan went out on the greenbelt.
Hey, are you okay?
She was hiding in the bushes. A male came walking by, asked her if everything was all right. Jordan then asked to be driven to the Walmart. The gentleman complied.
Look, she just told me it was a prank call, right? I didn't do anything.
Both Jordan and her friend are taken down to the station. As the pair is being processed, Detective Mark Madden is struck by the name Jordan Shaver.
I had a good professional relationship with Jordan. I knew Jordan Schaefer. A lot of the patrol officers knew who Jordan Schaefer was due to past investigations where she was a victim to sexual assaults.
But Jordan is more than just the victim Brian took her for. 5 weeks earlier, she was caught shoplifting and she failed to appear at her court date.
Jordan did have an active warrant for her arrest. Meet with Jordan in an interview room. She immediately recognizes me before I can get a word out. She's talking about how she's doing better in life. She's trying to do better things, and that she was trying to get money for her warrant so she could get bonded out.
It's awesome. I have a good job and a boyfriend, and it's great.
We'll talk about that later. Right now, there's more urgent matters at hand. We need to talk about Brian Geddes.
Yeah, whatever you want. I'll stay here all night.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
My goal in the beginning was to just get the backstory.
Why didn't you call Brian when Megan asked you to?
He would have been mad at me. Brian trusted me with almost everything, and I didn't want to disappoint him. And he didn't want anybody to know where he was going. He went to Jackpot.
Brian advised Jordan that nobody was to know where he was at. She was devoted to Brian and determined to not let the kids know where he was at because that was his wishes.
He wanted to get away? He's 50. Like, doesn't he have the right to do that? Maybe he went because he didn't want his family to know that he went there to gamble and drink and party.
He is an adult. He feels that he wants to go away to Jackpot or out of the country. Yeah, he has every right to do so, and to not let people know, he has that choice as well.
We need to talk to him, Jordan, just to confirm he's all right.
Do you promise that you won't tell him that I gave you the number?
I promise.
Jordan would tell me it was a pay-to-go phone that Brian was using. She didn't have the phone number memorized yet.
But maybe if I could dial it?
I provided Jordan a piece of paper that had the keypad of a phone. She said she could memorize the phone number by just movement of her hand.
Give it a try.
Tried that several times. She gave us probably 4 to 5 phone numbers that she thinks were the numbers that belonged to Brian.
None of the numbers work.
Jordan would give me 7 different stories. I would open those stories, I'd look into those stories, and they'd come to dead ends.
As officers contact hospitals in Jackpot, Jordan makes an odd request.
Can I hold your hand? It would help me remember more.
And I provide my hand.
After hours of interviews, Jordan says she wants to tell Madden the truth about Brian's disappearance.
I kept knowing that there was more to the story. I'd ask her, well, what do you think happened to him?
Something bad. Like with a drug dealer?
Jordan explains to Madden that Brian didn't only leave town to celebrate his birthday.
Wait, Jordan. I've got to leave town for a couple of days.
What are you talking about?
I had a little bit of a run-in with a sketchy character, a dealer, and it's just not good. And I think it's safer if I just lay low for a little.
She said Brian then asked her to stay at her residence and babysit the house while he was gone out of town. Brian asked her to do this because he didn't want the drug dealer coming into his house and stealing things.
I mean, there's money under the mat. Get whatever you need, and I'll call you as soon as I can.
Okay, I'll take care of everything while you're gone. Be safe.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
But Jordan says things took a violent turn.
What happened to Brian, Jordan?
I don't know. But I think,
Oh, lucky girl. You want to stay lucky? You better do what I tell you.
Jordan doesn't recognize the drug dealer because his face is covered. The drug dealer asked Jordan to make things better between Brian and him by going on some drug runs, and believes that this drug dealer did something to Brian, therefore agrees to help. She said the drug dealer then leaves the gun behind with Jordan. She's feared for her life and believes that this drug dealer did something to Brian. She recognizes the gun. She's able to provide me a name of possibly who Brian's drug dealer is.
Police drag in a number of likely suspects for questioning, including Burke and Tim Steinbeck, the man Jordan says attacked her. Over 50 people are questioned, and a handful are read their rights. And then the investigation takes another sharp turn.
He was wearing Brian's jacket.
I was just, hyperventilating, screaming.
Brian Geddes is missing, and his housemate Jordan Shaver tells police a man held her at gunpoint. Tim Steinbeck, who she says was Brian's dealer. Police bring Tim in for questioning.
You have firearms? So why would I get a tip that your 9mm handgun was in Brian Geddes' house?
I didn't do anything to the guy, if that's what you're thinking.
Well, I heard you had a gun.
Okay, I lied. I'm sorry. I had a 9mm, but it was stolen from my house party a couple of weeks ago.
Did you report this theft? Can anyone back up that your gun was stolen?
Yes, my parents. They're outside right now.
After confirming that the gun was stolen 2 weeks before, police realize that nothing, Jordan says, is what it seems. So why is she lying?
Maybe she was trying to protect somebody, this and that. I don't know.
Photos posted on social media suggest her boyfriend Burke could be the somebody Jordan's trying to protect.
There's pictures of him wearing my dad's clothes.
He was wearing Brian's jacket.
It's really weird.
Why are you showing me this?
Well, do you know him?
Of course I know him. It's Burke. But what does he have to do with Brian's disappearance?
You tell me.
That's enough to bring Burke in. Hoping one of the lovers crack.
Let's go over this again.
Police walk him past Jordan's interview room.
Yeah.
Just the sight of him is enough to make her break down.
The door opened while I was talking to Jordan. Burke appeared, and Jordan began to cry, telling Burke that she loved him and that she was scared.
It's all right.
Jordan tells Detective Madden she has more to say.
She's upset, she's crying, but at the same time, she's not hesitating in what she's telling me.
But it's got nothing to do with Burke.
Brian never went to Jackpot. He was sitting on the bed.
Jordan talks about how she was in Brian's residence in his bed, giving him a back massage.
He was cleaning the gun. He handed it to me.
Well, you shouldn't have any problem with that.
She said the gun goes off accidentally and hits Brian right in the back of the head.
Oh my God, oh my God.
She left the residence, taking the gun, going out to the river, and puts the gun to her head and contemplates committing suicide. Before pulling the trigger, she remembers her father telling her that if you commit suicide, God will make you rewatch it. She said she couldn't do that. She puts the gun down.
Jordan's confession is enough to clear Burke and her alleged attacker, Tim, but she still has more to say about what she did with Brian's body.
Jordan is able to roll Brian up in the comforter with the sheets, places a tarp down on the floor by the bed, and is able to pull Brian down onto that tarp. Jordan says she waits till about 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, where then she drags Brian in the tarp through the bedroom, into the kitchen, down the hallway, and out the back. Once out the back, Jordan says, there's a patio there. Jordan says that she drags Brian down the flight of stairs and placed him under the residence. An officer went out to the residence and was able to, with a flashlight, see Brian under the residence wrapped up in the comforter.
Megan finally gets answers, but not the ones she'd hoped for.
Around like 3-something in the morning, the detectives came to tell me that they had found him deceased. You know, my mind at the time was going, well, what's going on? You know, can you tell me? And still, at that time, was not thinking they were going to tell me that. I just remember...
Who did this? Who did this? Dad! Dad!
screaming, you know, and like falling, and then that was it.
After the body is found, police realize that Jordan may not be telling the whole truth.
When the Ada County coroner did his autopsy on Brian's body, his conclusion was that he had died of a gunshot to the back of his head. There was no way that it was an accident.
I wanted to believe Jordan, but in the end, she was not telling anybody the truth.
With the autopsy results and the evidence gathered from the house, police pieced together a different version of events. Jordan first stole the gun from Tim at a house party. The same gun she used to purposely kill Brian.
Brian had been shot in the back of the head while he and Jordan were in the master bedroom.
Later, Jordan hides the body and puts the bloody sheets and pillows in the trash.
And then within hours, she's calling her friends, telling them to come over and party with her.
And party they did.
Burke did have an intimate relationship with Jordan in the same bed that Brian was killed in. Burke didn't have a clue of what was going on. He was very surprised and very disgusted.
As Megan suspected, Jordan was using Brian's phone to maintain her lies.
Using his phone, texting his family, she was pretty much pretending to be him.
Jordan also cons Brian's tenants.
I just wanted to drop off November's rent, as I'll be out of town myself.
I'll make sure he gets it right away.
Thank you, dear.
Brian had several rentals. Jordan started collecting the rent payments from his tenants.
With Jordan herself admitting that she shot Brian, she's arrested and placed behind bars.
Jordan was charged with first-degree murder, which in Idaho could carry a death penalty sentence.
Has zero conscience. No, nothing inside telling her, no, I shouldn't do this. That's what's beyond me. How can someone so young become so evil that fast? And to be able to have no conscience, to be able to just kill someone, take their life, and not have a second thought about it, just dispose of it. Everything's gonna be fine. This looks like a good place. We'll just move in here. Yeah, and start telling stories.
Anybody that can cover up a blood-stained mattress with just a sheet and sleep on it, that is not a normal person. There is some major, major problems there.
Having Brian in her life made her feel good. Having Burke in her life made her feel even better. So the choice was Burke or Brian, and I think she chose Burke, and the only way to have Burke was to eliminate Brian.
Where did you really think it was gonna get you? She ruined her entire life.
Despite her sins, Jordan dodges the ultimate punishment.
She and the prosecutors ended up working out a deal where she would plead guilty to second-degree murder, which could still carry a life sentence, but it doesn't carry a death penalty sentence.
Given 20 years to life, Jordan will spend the rest of her youth behind bars. Fitting, given it was that very youth that lured Brian to his death.
You're not supposed to admire the young. You're supposed to admire and follow being old, because that's where you're going. And if you keep chasing the young, you'll never get there.
Yet no life lesson is a substitute for a good friend or a father.
I'll go sit at his grave and just cry and cry and cry. You have to go there and talk to him. It's the only place I have to go to see him, really. It's been almost 3 years, and the first thing I think to do is I'll still grab my phone to go and call him. I still have his phone number memorized, you know, and I'll go to call him and just be like, oh, never mind. You know, it's still so fresh. I'm not over it. You know, it still affects you. It'll affect me forever, though. It'll be like this forever, I'm sure.